It was raining hard when Armin boarded the last bus of the night. The streets were empty, dimly lit by flickering street lamps. The bus smelled of damp leather and old wood. No one was inside except him. As the door shut, the bus engine roared and the journey began. Minutes passed, and the dim lights barely illuminated the rows of empty seats. He noticed a faceless figure sitting at the back, motionless, wrapped in a wet, dark coat. Armin's heart skipped a beat. "Must be a trick of the light," he whispered to himself, gripping the handrail tightly. The bus hit a pothole, and the figure slid silently closer. Every instinct screamed at him to move, but his legs refused. The faceless passenger's presence was eerily heavy, filling the bus with a cold, suffocating aura. Armin tried to look away, but somehow his eyes kept locking onto the empty face. Suddenly, the bus stopped in the middle of nowhere. Outside, the streets were swallowed by fog. The driver, a pale, tired man, never turned to acknowledge Armin. The faceless passenger now stood beside him, and Armin felt an invisible force pressing him against the seat. He could hear whispers, but when he turned to look, there was no mouth. Panic surged. Armin leapt from his seat and ran toward the door. But it wouldn't open. The bus engine had gone silent, and outside the world seemed dead. The faceless figure was closer than ever, and now the air around him was icy, almost tangible, making every breath a struggle. Armin remembered the old urban legend. The last passenger never leaves the bus alive. Desperation clawed at him. He tried screaming, pounding the window, but the sound swallowed him. The bus lights flickered once and then died completely. In that instant, he felt a cold hand touch his shoulder. The next morning, the bus was found empty, parked exactly where it had stopped. No driver, no Armin, no faceless figure, just the faint smell of damp leather and rain. Locals say that if you board the last bus at night, something will always join you, but never let you leave. Sarah had moved into the old countryside house a week ago. It was isolated, surrounded by dense trees that seemed to whisper at night. The first few nights were silent, apart from the wind. But on the seventh night, she heard soft, muffled crying in the darkness. At first, she assumed it was the wind or an animal, but the sound was too human, too deliberate. She followed the sound to the basement door. Cold air escaped as she opened it, and the crying stopped abruptly. Sarah's flashlight flickered, revealing a faceless figure sitting in the corner, knees drawn to its chest, rocking slowly. Her breath hitched. She blinked, and it vanished. The next night, the crying returned. Always at 3:17 a.m., Sarah started recording with her phone. In the video, the crying could be heard clearly, but when she looked at the screen, nothing appeared in the room. She could feel it, though, a presence cold enough to numb her skin. One night, driven by terror and curiosity, Sarah left her bedroom door open and sat quietly in the living room. The crying started faintly at first, then grew louder, closer. She glimpsed the faceless figure at the top of the stairs, its head tilting unnaturally. Her heart pounded. The figure raised one limp, pale hand as if pointing at her. The room temperature dropped drastically, her breath visible in the icy air. Sarah tried to scream, but no sound came out. She grabbed her phone to call for help. The screen showed her own reflection, but her face was missing, replaced by a smooth, featureless surface. Suddenly, the crying stopped. The silence was heavier than any sound. Then a whisper, cold and hollow, filled the room. "You shouldn't be here." Sarah ran up the stairs, the faceless figure following silently, always one step behind. She reached her bedroom door, slammed it shut, and locked it. But in the mirror, she could see it standing right behind her, watching, waiting. By morning, Sarah was gone. Only the echo of faint crying in the dark remained. Locals who passed by the abandoned house swear that if they linger too long near the windows at night, they can hear it, the faceless cries of someone trapped between worlds, eternally lost in the darkness.